is from.
All right, welcome all. So just to give you a little quick synopsis of what we will do here this evening is we have 3 items on our agenda. The first one's a little different, but for both of the applications, we'll ask Amy to come up. You'll give us a brief description. We'll ask some questions. Then we will open it to the public. If the public has any questions, they will ask it. Then we go through our 5 questions, our determining factors. Then we will or will not make a motion to grant the variance. And then once you have the variance, then Amy will then again take it from there. So both applications go pretty much the same. So our first application is Killian Zavala, New York State Route 292, Holmes, New York, 12563, grid number 134089. 6856-00-194793. He received a letter from Mr. Zavala's attorney.
Margot, may I interrupt just a second? Because
Sure.
I have a couple of things to say about that, and I think there's no
Do you
reason.
want me to read the letter first and then you respond?
No, I was going to suggest
Okay.
that we deal with the other people first so that they don't have to sit through Zavala,
Okay.
since nobody seems to be here from Zavala.
Okay, okay. We will pause that and continue on then on to our next. Okay. The first applicant is Joseph and Candace Steiner. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay. Area variance ZBA 2025-002, 196 North Quaker Hill Road, Pawling, New York, grid number 134089-7057-00837900. Under 239 General Municipal Law, referred from Dutchess County. It is indicated this matter is exempt from 239 review, and it is what kind of seeker? No.
Type 2.
Type 2 seeker. No action needed. A site inspection took place on Saturday, February 15th. Myself, John Harnez, Terrence Wansley, Allison Knox, and Helen Grasso were all present. The variance before the board are as follow: 215-16 bulk regulations in a conservation residential zoning district CD-5. Front yard setback where 100 feet is required, 36.8 feet is available, a variance of 63 required. Side yard setback, 40 feet is required on one side with 100 feet total on both sides. For the house, the side yard setbacks on the west side, 40 feet is required. 29 feet 8 inches is available, and a variance of 11 feet 2 inches is required. Both side yard setbacks, there is a 100-foot setback required. West side 29 feet 8 inches. Side is 59. A variance of 10 foot 4 inches is required. For the garage, side yard setback 40 feet is required, 9 foot 6 inches is available, and the variance of 30 feet 4 inches is required. 215-33D, conforming uses with a dimensionally non-conforming building. A non-conforming building with conforming use shall not be enlarged, reconstructed, or structurally altered or moved unless such structure alterations causes the building to become conforming. And 215-52F, the required code of the town of Pawling, expiration of an appeal unless otherwise specified by the ZBA. A decision on any appeal shall expire if the applicant fails to commence and substantially years of the date of such decision. An as-built is required to be submitted to the building department prior to the receipt of a certificate of occupancy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Reynolds. I'm the architect for my clients over here, Candy and Joe Steiner, who you met the other day. And we are proposing a small addition to their house. Currently, they have a site that's just under 2 acres and a front yard setback of just under 50 feet, which does not conform with the 5-acre zoning and it's a 100-foot setback, correct? So our addition also does not comply. But we feel very confident that our addition is attractively designed and it's in keeping with the architecture of both of their site and of the neighboring sites. So that's why we felt it was appropriate to ask for a variance. And in addition to that, their current house is quite small. They've got some grandchildren. They really want a little more space for everybody to hang out and play together and to continue to live in this wonderful area that they love.
Neighbors, did we send out the mailings?
Yes, the mailings were sent out and I gave the receipts to Joanne.
Okay, and any neighbors have any negative feedback?
No, a new neighbor, John Russo, stopped by and he thought the design was beautiful.
Okay.
Only because he's planning on maybe doing something at his house, so
Okay. Terrence?
Questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I don't know if it matters, but there was a discussion, we did the site meeting, whether the combined, what was the actual number for the combined side setbacks, because it seemed,
Yes, there was a discrepancy because the surveyor had a number and then I had a number and there were a few inches off because I was hoping for a couple extra inches, but I'm perfectly happy with the fact that you all went with the surveyor number. We can certainly build the house according to those numbers.
yeah, I guess my question was, the number seemed off, that the combined setback seemed more than 100 feet.
It's possible that I made an error, and I apologize. I really appreciate the fact that you guys dealt with it. Joanne was able to correct it and get it into the public notice. So I feel like we're good on that, and I appreciate that.
We're not there just from learning experience that, well, I think I'll add it in at the end about if you hit rock or anything, well, if you need any additional variance. No, you know this, but it makes me feel better to tell you that to come back to the board, as soon as you have a problem, to let the building department know, or,
Okay. Thank you for telling me. I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah, like even if a few inches, we had issues years ago, and it was one of those things I said, I gotta remember to start telling people, because we had quite the hiccup with that years ago, so.
Well, my plan is to make sure the surveyor comes back and flags the actual lines of the foundation, so we won't be having any issues with the as-built.
If they ever hit rock when they're digging and whatnot, and there's issues, just to always remember before you do anything.
Thank you, Margo.
My pleasure. Okay, I think we're good. We're gonna open this meeting to the public. Public, any questions? Any comments? All right, we're gonna close this meeting to the public, and we'll go through our questions. Terrence?
Okay, these are the 5 factors which the zoning board of appeals are required to consider when making a determination for area variance. The first one is whether an undesirable change will be produced by to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance. I would say no.
I agree with you.
Agreed.
The second factor, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other feasible method for the applicant to pursue, other than an area variance. I would say not.
I agree.
I agree.
Well, since it's already pre-existing, non-conforming, it's already, it's there, and you can't move the house or change it, so I agree.
The third factor, whether the requested area variance is substantial. In most instances, they're not. There's several variances that were requested. The one that was the garage is substantial based on the totality of the numbers, but with the site visit, I don't think it's an issue, so I would say it is, but it's not relevant to me.
I agree.
Yes, I agree as well.
As Terrence had said, numerically, it does look like it's substantial. However, when you take the site into consideration.
The fourth factor, whether there will be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, I would say no.
I agree.
I agree.
The fifth factor, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the variance. Certainly, it is self-inflicted because you want to expand, but it is, like the statute said, not relevant to me.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. I think the plan is keeping with the character of the neighborhood. It's, you know, modest, it's very charming. So may I have a motion to grant the variance?
I move to grant the variance.
Seconded?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll read the whole thing.
Or Allison?
Allison, will you read it into the?
I actually don't have the correct numbers.
Oh, it should be in my package that I left for everybody tonight.
Oh,
It's under Sabella's, the next page after Sabella.
thank you. Okay, so this includes the 215-16 bulk regulation in a conservation residential zoning district CD-5. For a front yard setback where 100 feet is required, 36.8 feet is available, and a variance of 63.2 feet is required. Side yard setbacks, 40 feet is required on one side with a total of 100 feet on both sides. For the house side yard setbacks, on the west side, 40 feet is required, 29.8 feet is available. A variance of 11.2 feet is required. Both side yard setbacks, there is a 100-foot setback required. West side, 29.8. East side is 59.8 feet. A variance of 10.4 feet is required. For the garage side yard setback, 40 feet is required, 9.6 feet is available, a variance of 30.4 feet is requested. 215-33D, conforming use with dimensionally non-conforming buildings. A non-conforming building with a conforming use shall not be enlarged, reconstructed, or structurally altered or moved unless such structure alterations cause the building to become conforming. Also, 215-52F, the required code of the Town of Pawling expiration of an appeal, unless otherwise specified by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Decision on any appeal shall require if the applicant fails to commence and substantially complete work related to the decisions within 2 years of the date of such decision. And as a bill is required to be submitted to the building department prior to receipt of the certificate of occupancy.
All right, congratulations, your variance has been submitted, and Amy, just as I had mentioned, if there's any variances, just to let the building department know. Especially because it's so many inches. So, all right. Well,
Thank you very much.
thank you. We look forward to seeing the completed. Okay, next up, we have Kevin Gardner and Eric, is it Beveridge, is that, okay. Never. Area variance for the ZBA 2005-001, 18 Tracy Road, Pawling, New York. Grid number 134089-7157-00-295212. All right, 239 municipal law, referred from Dutchess County. This is an exempt from 239 review, and it is a type 2 seeker. The site inspection was done on Saturday, February 15th. In attendance was myself, John, Terrence, Allison, and Helen. The variance before the boards is as follows. 215-16 bulk regulations in a conservation residential zoning CD5, a front yard setback that is for a permanent structure of the roof overhanging with columns 100 feet is required. 47 feet 5 inches is available. A variance of 52 feet 5 inches is requested. Conforming uses with a dimensionally non-conforming building, a non-conforming building with conforming use shall not be enlarged, reconstructed, or structurally altered or moved unless such structure alteration causes the building to become conforming. And the 215-52F, the required code of the town of Pawling, expiration of an appeal unless otherwise specified by the ZBA, the decision on any appeal shall expire if the applicant fails to commence and substantially complete work relative to the decisions within 2 years of the date of such decision, and as-built required to be submitted to the building department prior to the receipt. Have the floor.
I'm Amy Reynolds. I'm the architect for my clients, Kevin and Eric over there, and we are proposing to add a screen porch to their house. Their site is just around 4 acres, so it's undersized, and the existing front yard setback does not meet the 100-foot setback requirement. The porch itself completely meets all the requirements for rear yard setbacks and side yard setbacks. So it's really just this pre-existing front yard setback that's an issue. Furthermore, you really can't see the porch from the street, and I think it'll add greatly to the look of the house and my client's enjoyment. Thank you.
The mailers were done,
Yes, ma'am.
and neighbors have any?
There's one neighbor, and he hasn't said anything to you, right? Yeah. And
And just sort of noted that the majority of the other property around that property is already owned.
that's correct. That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
That mentioned as well.
Thank you.
Questions?
No.
I don't have any.
Nope.
Okay. And just as Amy mentioned, I want to make sure this is noted that it's a rear porch, that it's behind the house. Okay, you have,
Again,
oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Opening the meeting to the public? Does the public have any questions? No public? Closing. Terrence?
Okay, again, I'm going to go over the 5 factors that we use to determine whether or not we grant or deny a variance. The first of the factors is whether an undesirable change will be produced by the character of the neighborhood, in the character of the neighborhood, or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the variance. I would say absolutely not.
I agree.
I agree. I mean, as Amy said, the only reason we're here is because it's a non-conforming house, and so the addition is not really changing anything to the neighborhood, any of it.
As John mentioned, and again, the porch is behind the house. It's the house that sits so close to the road, so it's.
Second factor, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other feasible method for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance, no.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. As we had mentioned again, the house has been there for many, many years, and so besides moving the house, it's not really an option.
I mean, as I understand the law, you really can't make any change to that house. Any change requires a variance.
Correct. The third factor is whether the requested area variance is substantial. Again, numerically perhaps, but not in the totality of things, so I don't think that would be a factor for me.
Well said, I agree.
I honestly don't think it's substantial, but I guess that doesn't change anything.
The fourth factor is, will there be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? Absolutely not, in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree.
And again, the addition is behind the house, so definitely, and the neighbors, as we had mentioned, the property surrounding is already owned by the property owners as well.
And the fifth factor is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. Certainly, it's interesting, John, in that these are not necessarily self-corrected if you read it literally, because the house was there, and so somebody 100 years old created it. But we understand what you're saying, so it's not an issue for me relative to granting a variance.
I agree.
My brain isn't that creative, but but I don't think it's relevant whether it's self-created or not.
I agree. May I have a motion to grant the area variance?
I'd like to make a motion to grant the area variance for the applicant.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Terrence, would you mind reading into the minutes?
Okay. Okay, relative to this application, we're talking about 215-16, bulk regulations in a conservation residential zoning district, CD5, a front yard setback that is for a permanent structure or of the roof overhang, which columns 100 feet is required, 47.5 feet is available, a variance of 52.5 feet is requested. The 215-33, subdivision D, the catch-all, conforming uses with a dimensionally non-conforming buildings. A non-conforming building with a conforming use shall not be enlarged, reconstructed, or structurally altered or moved unless such structural alterations cause the building become conforming. Do you want me to read 215-52? 215-52, subdivision F. The required code for the town of Pawling, expiration of an appeal, unless otherwise specified by the zoning board of appeal, a decision or any appeal shall expire if the applicant fails to commence and substantially complete work related to the decision within 2 years of the date of such decision. And as built is required to be submitted to the building department prior to receipts of any certificates of occupancy.
Has been granted, and as mentioned before, if any changes need to be made, you just let them know. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. And maybe we'll hear from you, from the other neighbor too. Okay, we're gonna go back to Zavala. May I read the letter first and then your comment on it?
Yeah.
Okay. This letter is twofold. I'm forwarding a copy of the letter from the building inspector indicating no dimensional shortcomings with the exception of lot coverage. We are modifying plans to bring the lot coverage into compliance. We are formally withdrawing the application before the board in light of this overrun. Thank you for that is the official letter, correct?
Yes.
Now, do we?
You have to make a motion
Okay,
to withdraw the
but first,
application. Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. John.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the letter. I understand what the definition of a corner lot is, and I do not have an issue with the applicant treating Route 292 as the front side. That said, it's treating the rear of the house, the what was formerly the front, as a side lot. And, you know, the code says, I mean, just number one, just from common sense, the lot line on the opposite side of the front is not a side lot, it's a rear lot. There are, I took a look at some case law, and there are some statutes, some codes that say that there are three sides, that there can be three side lots to a house, but I've taken a look through the code and I haven't seen it, and I've also seen that the lot line rear in our code is defined as opposite the front. And it seems to me perfect sense. I apologize that I am not more up to speed on this, but it's my understanding, we have this application, we have to grant it's being withdrawn, and I don't want it withdrawn until we have some kind of opinion or decision that it's a rear lot, because I mean, a rear, that what should be the rear side is not a side setback, and also to the extent that there's no violation of the code if it is in fact the rear lot. And I don't know if that was as articulate as I wanted it to be, but and if everything passes muster, I'm assuming we can get that done before the next meeting, and I'd be happy to reconsider
Okay,
the
so-
withdrawal, and it's not gonna require unless there is a,
All right, just so I understand what you're asking or saying, is that we should go back to the attorneys and have them do a deeper dive into the town code
Exactly.
and understand and confirm that this is definitely what they originally thought, that that's definitely what's happening on this parcel.
or if it's a rear lot, that it conforms. If it's a rear lot, if it's the
Setback.
Rear side.
rear setback, I'm sorry, I know,
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
but if it's a rear setback, that it conforms. If it doesn't conform, then, then it requires a variance.
Okay, so we're gonna ask the town attorney to do a deeper dive and look.
I know, he's gonna hate me, but,
You don't have to have dinner with them, so it's okay.
yeah.
No, it's better that you have it correct.
I'm actually as much, and just for the record, I am as much concerned with the precedent that we may be setting as I am with this particular lot. I'm not trying to,
I know we're uncomfortable.
yeah, I just, I don't agree with it, and I don't want it to be a precedent where it might be something, it might involve something significant.
Yeah, we can have clarification for future. All right, are we good with that?
Good.
You have
No,
some
I
thoughts?
think John raised some very salient issues. I think that if in fact, well, we did the site visit, the house is significantly further from 292 than it is from the private road. If in fact the house takes place on the same lot and the same orientation, and the 292 is in the front, then you'll have at least unsightly back of the house 13 feet from the road, which is a dangerous precedent, because that would have a detrimental effect on the community, I would believe, if everybody's back door was the front door and so on and so forth. So I think it bodes well for us to pump the brakes a little bit to get absolute clarification and move within the confines of the law.
I absolutely agree. When we went to the site visit, we noticed a couple of problems with the overall plans, and considering that, and in any case, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so I will reach out to the town attorney and ask them, specify our questions and ask them to look further into it, and also voice our concerns about the plans and the plans.
And I thought we also had some issues, I think Terrence had some issues with the numbers
Okay.
that we had on the
Drawing.
drawing, exactly. Feel free to finish my sentences, I'm having a tough time tonight.
Telepathy.
I think Terrence noticed too on the map, on their drawing, that, right, the manhole and the driveway were incorrect in how it was written.
Yeah, I spoke to the applicant when he was present, saying that, like I said, that the drawing was the farthest I've ever seen from the lot itself.
Yeah.
And I suggested gently that perhaps he needs to revisit it and see it for himself, because it has to make sense.
Okay, so the well, the location, the manhole, the number.
Yes, sounds good.
Anything else?
Comprehensive.
We're good?
Yeah,
Well, I'll reach out. All right, I asked Joanne, there's a good possibility of us having a meeting in March for a garage. I have a hockey tournament on the 15th. Visit date, so if the calendar falls, it may be a situation you guys go, and then I'll go at a different time of everybody, for the whole month. Oh, minutes. May I have a?
Wait.
do you want to adjourn it till the next meeting when Helen's here?
She would be very disappointed in us.
Listening.
Can we go back to the next meeting for a second?
Oh, sure.
I believe I will be away. I'm a member of the First Responder Resource Group with Department of Homeland Security, and we have a conference that week. So I think I will be away for that meeting.
Okay, now, there's a possibility of us, if we need to move the meeting a little bit, if it was later or earlier, so we'll
Well, if we move it, then we can move it to March 17th. We'll know by the end of the week if we have an application or not. That's the deadline date.
are we gonna, who's bringing the green beer? Can help myself. So, all right.
Is that our meeting date, March 17th?
Well, no, it's actually
No,
a week
it's the
after.
24th.
A week after.
But we'll see if it's
Okay.
necessary. We'll see if
Right.
it's,
Oh, we'll do it.
if it's,
If we don't get any applications,
yeah, we'll
then
kind
it's not.
of, we'll feel it out. I make a motion to accept the minutes as read. I listened to them thoroughly. I had my computer read them to me. And can I get a second for the minutes?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I want to be proud of us. She's probably listening to us right now. And, may I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Allison, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.